Swear to God.
I remember that. I remember
Wave your
that.
hand.
Ruins me.
Wave your hand so I know it's coming. Where you go, Pete? More. All right, John.
Wait. Sorry. Was that the clap?
Yes, bro.
Oh my God.
All right, Julian, whenever you're ready. All right.
No, okay, wait, so I can put my hands away. We can.
The point of the clap was to sync up the
Nothing's on.
audio.
Keep it on the ground so you can just put it here.
You're overdoing.
Hello, everybody, and
Okay,
welcome.
wait, like 3
You're ridiculous. Okay.
Just wait. You don't have to do it right after.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of
Educational football.
Today we have a very, very special one. We are in the professional studio. We're going to be talking about the world's game, the World Cup as it has been so far. As of right now, we have one team in the semifinals, one team in the semifinals in France, beating Morocco. As you can see, the two Morocco boys. We're going to get into all of it. But what a beautiful tournament it's been so far. What a beautiful event. How lucky are we to enjoy it all? We've watched every match. We've watched so many together. And we are all very excited to be here and talk about what we've learned so far. So,
France. I definitely do agree with
Very,
you.
why France? Very convenient.
Very
Why
convenient.
France? Disgusting.
Well, maybe we can get into it later.
we'll get
Unless I
into it
should give the whole thing.
We'll get into it later. Fair.
But I mean, part of it is I do agree with Drew. I think they really are probably one of the best national teams in history. I think they're exciting, they're entertaining, they're really incredible, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. Although I must admit that I am sad about Morocco being knocked out of the tournament.
I'm Julian. I'm Moroccan. Yeah.
All right. There it is. Okay,
Very
everybody.
few words.
And so that's the introduction.
Who are you rooting for?
I think we should discuss, first of all, how expectations going into this World Cup and versus how it turned out to be. I remember we were all a bit worried that it was in the US with such a kind of absentee fan base in the United States. And on top of that, we were hearing all these issues with immigration checks of certain teams getting in, which kind of really dulled the mood of this special celebration. We were all very worried about the fields, even down to the fields, the playing fields, and how they were the worst quality and players were going to be getting injured left and right. And I think some of that has been disproven, while some has remained to be an issue. If you guys want to go into that.
Yeah, I'd like to start off. Maybe we can get into the heavier stuff a bit later, but I guess to start off on a lighter note, the fields. I know I was a bit worried seeing the way that the grass pitches were being implemented into these stadiums. I didn't want this to be a tournament marred by injuries and whatnot, but I was a little hesitant before it started, as I do believe many people were. However, I gotta say, the fields have looked absolutely pristine. These stadiums are, I'm not a big NFL guy, but these are some of the most beautiful stadiums I've ever seen, really. Some of these overhead shots are just mind blowing. I'm really happy that all worked out. I think it just adds to the fan spectacle and the fan experience, especially those watching live. I'm very pleasantly surprised with how that all turned out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I do have to say, yeah, the stadiums have been really beautiful. I do think that the most stellar view that I've seen like online, shots during games has been the Azteca in Mexico City. What a beautiful stadium with the mountain peak peering overhead. It's really something that feels magical. Obviously none of us have been in person, but even just seeing it like on the TV while watching games, it's been really, really incredible. And I agree, like there were a lot of kind of hesitations about what it was going to look like to have a World Cup in the US, especially because of this absentee fan base. This isn't necessarily a football country. This isn't a country that follows like the Prem or La Liga or whatever. People kind of know about like, oh, Messi, Ronaldo, but beyond that, there's not as much interest.
The LeBron James of soccer.
The LeBron James of soccer. Thank you.
But how much has that changed?
Well, that's the thing. I was about to get into that. I'm very pleasantly surprised, first and foremost, by how much excitement there has been around this tournament. I think it's, palpable in the air. You go outside, you go past any bar, any restaurant, they're watching the World Cup, they're talking about the World Cup. people who were never really into this sport before have gotten really into it. And obviously, there's a bit of this that you see every 4 years, whether it was Qatar, Russia, Brazil, South Africa, so on and so forth. But I think the fact that it's here, that it's in our backyard, that these players are, like actually based in, the Croatia team was like training not very far from where we're recording right
Physical
now.
high school, like 30 minutes away.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of similar things. You feel like there's this excitement and there's this vibe, and I think it's picking up, and I'm optimistic about what it's gonna leave Americans with in the
Absolutely.
winter.
Cool.
I agree with everything. Very special time. People I know who have never talked about soccer or shown interest ever are showing interest. It's really cool.
Awesome.
Um, I think the 3 host nations is a cool idea, even though it's mostly US,
Yeah.
just like geographically. I think it is so cool. We get like stadiums in Vancouver and in Mexico City, and that's something they're doing next World Cup too, with like Morocco and Spain and Portugal.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a good idea. But there also have been issues with immigration, mainly with the Iran national team. They obviously had to stay in Tijuana, and after every game, they had to just check in from Tijuana for the game and then go right back after. And they also had issues with their recovery team and their logistics team. Visas didn't go through. You saw their captain, Taremi, he talked about it in a press conference after they failed to qualify, which was heartbreaking because they were like super close to qualifying twice and didn't make it, even despite all the challenges and despite not being like one of the stronger teams. And you have to say it is incredibly unfair and against the spirit of fair play and the spirit of the World Cup.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. All those things are honestly the one thing that's stopping this tournament from being maybe perfect. And it's unfair for the teams who have to face those consequences. But when you look past it, has this been the greatest World Cup ever?
I think it's up there. One thing, obviously, I haven't seen that many, but one thing I think that's really elevated it is the expansion to 48 teams. I think everybody was kind of hesitant because it kind of just seemed like a little bit too much and seemed like just to have more games for money, which it definitely is. But we've seen that the new teams or like the added teams can finally can actually compete, and it's not like there's a set of teams that you can tell are only there just because it's 48. All of these teams can compete, um, which has been really impressive to
Except for
see.
Turkey. We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
To see like countries you've never seen, like Cape Verde, come in and like push like giants to the edge, and to see their fan bases too, like who really show out and how much it means to them. I think it's been really enjoyable.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great point. I mean, just to echo that a little bit, a lot of people were against it. They thought it would just be a lot of dead rubber national teams coming in. And even before the tournament started, people were, maybe turning their nose up a little bit at the likes of KT, the likes of Cape Verde, the likes of Uzbekistan. But as we saw, I think Haiti played some great football. We're unlucky to leave without any points. I think, they were very close. Cape Verde, we saw what they did, historic run. And yeah, I think, the more matches that we've been allowed to watch, I really, as a younger gentleman, I have only great memories of, 2018 and 2022 in their entirety, maybe some bits and pieces of 2014. But personally, I will have to say that this has been my favorite World Cup
Absolutely.
so far. I think it has been the best that I have seen.
That's massively carried by the fact at how these players are performing. We have to look at all the best players showing up, absolutely showing up. The storylines are ridiculous. Neymar coming back, The Last Dance, although, we know how that ended. Ronaldo, The Last Dance. Messi, The Last Dance. Haaland taking his country further than they've ever been. Vinny showing up for his international team. Mbappe showing up after his worst, 2 years spell. Everybody, every star is showing up. Maybe bar some we will discuss. Bruno, but sorry, we'll get into that. But still,
I have to say that
it is absolutely, it's a joy to watch. And honestly, like even right now, if you end the tournament right now, you've given me more than enough to eat. You've given us a feast. And I feel like we're so sad. Every day we talk about it, we're like, wow, World Cup's over. Like it's the semifinals going into it now. We're like, it's over. we're so sad. We don't know what to do after because it's been so magical for us in our home country. So yeah,
I guess looking back on it, are there any parts of the group stages that really stood out to you guys or how stuck with you, as we are progressing deeper into the tournament, some moments that you do look back upon a certain fondness?
I think. Sorry, just really quickly. First game, Argentina, Messi hat trick.
That was crazy.
Are you crazy?
That was crazy.
Oh my word. That legitimately had the very valid conversation coming up. Is Messi still the greatest player in the world? That's insane, by
Yeah.
the way. Although Zidane in goal for Algeria.
I mean, look,
But still,
it's still
Messi
at 39. The fact that he was able
unbelievable.
to
Yeah.
pull off a hat trick, whether or not it was against
Unbelievable.
this fresher goalie and against this fresher this kind of team that's not really like weighed as heavily. Still, the fact that he's that old and those goals were very impressive, especially that third one where he
Yeah,
kind of dribbled
that's
right
his
through the team.
signature shot.
It was very impressive.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I think watching the U.S. trounce Paraguay in their opening game
Yeah.
That was
was,
surprising. Yeah.
helped to build up a great atmosphere for this country, for the World Cup, got a lot of people, as we said earlier, who may not have been too invested in soccer beforehand, really invested into this journey of what could be, the rest of the World Cup, getting tuned in.
Yeah.
Here's a little anecdote. I was at work the other day. I was speaking with a 70-year-old man from West Virginia, big old white beard, accent, the whole nine. And he was telling me about Paraguay's performance against the US. And
Wow.
I could hardly believe it,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's just
insane.
a crazy mode of globalization that really couldn't be brought about by any other way other than the World Cup.
No, it really does feel like this. Yeah, this cultural moment that everyone is on board with, that everyone is on the same page about. I think
Yeah.
one of those, like, just to give an anecdote of like a game I really remember. So there was the very first game of the entire tournament. It was Mexico against South Africa, and that was a game that people kind of regard as less than stellar, not too exciting. I was at work during that game, and I kind of watched bits and pieces of it whenever I had some downtime. But then later that evening, you had South Korea against Czechia, and I think that was I watched that game with my brother Richie here, and that game felt like a really exciting one, like very high energy, dynamic. It made me feel like, oh, we're here. This is the World Cup. This is the world stage, and these teams, are ready to perform for it. And I felt maybe a similar vibe. I would say maybe my favorite game of the entire group stages was Netherlands against Japan. I think that Japan played a really phenomenal game. Obviously, Netherlands is an elite team. They're extremely strong. They have some great players, and you could see that Japan like went in there feeling like the underdogs, but refusing to submit to this underdog mentality. They leaned in as hard as they could. They pushed as hard as they could, and they ended up coming out of it with a tie, tying the game up in like what the last 10
second,
minutes. And I had been calling that for like majority of the game when it was 2-1. I felt like Japan was going to tie it up. Just the energy they were bringing, the aggression, the grit that they were playing with, and that was a game that was really special. I mean, every game has felt really special, but that one I will.
Yeah, you mentioned South Korea. That was a good game, but overall, I think a lot of people were disappointed with South Korea,
Yeah.
especially the South Korean government, which is super funny,
Yeah.
but kind of sad. What are some other teams that you guys think were disappointing? I think one that everyone would agree on is Turkey.
Yeah, Turkey were
Um,
narrativized as the dark horse of the tournament.
Like
Yeah.
every tournament.
Every turn, every time. And then what is the issue with them? They have decent players. They have Çalhanoğlu in midfield, Arda Güler. They have Yildiz on the left. Like they have a couple other very good players. It's just lose to Paraguay, right?
They lost to
Lost to Paraguay, lost to
Australia.
Australia.
They beat the U.S., but after it was, like,
the US
the
was
ship had
up
already
place.
sailed,
I think
and
it's done.
Turkey couldn't qualify either way.
So it's just a little bit, it's just one of those things where we expect more, but they showed you who they are in the past, and
I mean, they had a less than stellar performance at the Euros as well, if I remember correctly, and a lot of people were crediting that to the almost lack of cohesion with the team. They weren't really playing with one another. They weren't like passing forward with some kind of end goal in mind. It felt like and I saw this a lot, especially during that Australia game. It felt like every player wanted to give the ball to another one of their teammates. No one actually wanted to really try to put it in goal.
Yep. I guess would have been in teams that just list some other teams that weren't didn't perform to how we expected.
Well, first, I want to see if Julian has anything to add since you're the only one that hasn't said anything. Even though
that's
you
the
posed the question.
I
Like, if you
said
have any teams.
I said Turkey. I think I think I think Brazil.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into that. I wish to do a quick round of 16 notable games, round of 32 notable games.
First.
I think like obviously they're not what they used to be, but I honestly still think that they underperformed.
Yeah,
I feel like there were players who didn't step up. Vinny had a good tournament, and obviously like Rafinha getting injured is a big deal. But I feel like Allison did not have a great tournament, which he is kind of getting old, but still, I feel like Bruno G could have done more.
no, he was decent, but yeah,
And they didn't have like enough match winners in the team, I think. And then also the squad is like Ryan starting is crazy, to be honest. Like that's
I think it also in terms of disappointment, you have to mention Uruguay.
yeah.
Absolutely diabolical tournament for them. I mean, you just look at some of the players they have, the quality that they should or are supposed to have as a so-called footballing nation compared to some of the smaller teams that didn't advance through. The performances they were putting out, this whole Marcelo Bielsa gimmick. I don't know, father of Pep or whatever, but I've never really seen him deliver. All his teams that I watch do not look great at all. I think that's one of the standout disappointments of the tournament. I think also, I will point to Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Although I would say probably most people didn't have too high of expectations for them, but they did
Still,
serve up some
the worst,
pretty nasty
probably the worst.
performances. Yeah.
I think similar with Algeria. Like, I think they did better for sure, and they actually advanced, which is great. But that last game against
That last game
Switzerland,
was enough to
that was enough said.
I will say maybe backpedaling to a little bit to the expansion point. I think the addition of a couple or the 8 best third place
best
teams
third
going
place
through,
I
teams.
like that.
I really like that addition. It did help it, the suspense maintain all the way to the last day of the group stages. It really felt like nothing was really set in stone until the final game was played. Just an added sense of excitement and whatnot.
Now, some people really love the addition of these new teams. That thought, they think that's a big positive, and even more is better. But the only way to do that was to do 64 teams. This was 48, so you do 64 teams, and you cut out that third place team. So it's around the same amount of matches, just because you get rid of one round for the teams who are advancing. Around the same amount of matches. What do you guys think about that?
what do you mean get rid of one round?
So
Like no more rounds?
only the first two teams. You do 64 teams, which is
Oh no.
But only the first.
but
two
only the
advance.
first two advance, and then you go straight into round of 16. Or no, I guess it would be round of
Yeah.
32 and 16. But
Yes.
only the first two advance.
I
I
think
think. Sorry, no, you go ahead, you go.
I feel like obviously like not about the gameplay itself, but logistically running a 64 team tournament seems like a lot.
Crazy, right?
People
People
kind
said
of
that.
almost too
People said the
much.
exact same things about 48 though.
Yeah, but I still think there's a big difference. Kind of in a way where like you would think like will the quality go down? Like how are you like even like simple things like how are you gonna have 64 teams in one country like with their camp set up? How are you gonna broadcast 64 games? How are you gonna get enough reps?
And
I
the
don't know,
US
feel
is
like-
big.
And then also I do think at that point you will start to see some teams that like honestly don't deserve to be on display, which sounds harsh.
Yeah, okay, I can hear you.
Like-
I can hear that, but I will say that these are the same exact arguments people were making for 48 team expansion. And they were. And,
That's right. So it's
you
something
know,
to think about.
just based on the way this tournament is going, I think I would be open to another expansion. I think a lot of that would depend on which regions you're allotting these extra slots to. Where in the world you're drawing these teams from. But I think with a little bit more foresight and thought, I'm not a doubter immediately. Do you guys have any more thoughts outstanding opinions on the group stage before we do move
Well,
on to
yeah,
the knockout rounds?
just quickly, and maybe I'm lingering on the like Arab teams here because of like our background, but going back to the biggest disappointment conversation, I think number one, Tunisia.
Well, what
Did
do you
you-
mean by disappointment?
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
Tunisia had no like.
I mean, they
they
had no. I mean, they had a tough group. They had the Netherlands, they had Japan, they had Sweden,
But regardless,
and
like,
at the same time,
expectation versus reality.
no,
I
that's fair.
would
Maybe
say
disappointment is the wrong word, but I think that
Sadness.
Yeah,
was
teams
just-
aren't going to do
it
well.
was
It's how
just,
it is. No-
it was
not every team's
unfortunate to
gonna do it.
watch, and there were some people who when they did qualify for the World Cup said like had some sort of criticisms about the way that AFCON sets up their qualification metrics, the fact that Tunisia would
Yeah.
get steamrolled a little bit, and unfortunately that is true. They had two different coaches by the end of the 3 matches.
But okay, but
Yeah.
you know, on that note, let's move on. Memorable games from the 2 rounds. First of all, Germany, Paraguay. Thoughts?
Wow. I mean, probably one of the craziest upsets in recent World Cup history, at least as far as I can remember. After seeing the Japan-Brazil game earlier, in which Japan did start out strong, but kind of shirked away as the game went on, gave Brazil a chance to come back and win it. I was thinking, that would be the closest that we got that day to an underdog prevailing. I think especially after seeing the Germany team trounce Curacao 7-1, the sort of ruthlessness that we typically associate with German football and the association. I think a lot of us do know that they're not at the peak of their powers as they have been, maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, but I don't think I would be wrong in saying most of the world assumed this would be an easy brew, but Paraguay really laid it all out there. Surprise go-ahead goal against the run of play. They were able to, hold it down for the rest of the game and go through on penalties. I think that was just a historic victory that I, for one, really enjoyed watching.
I didn't enjoy watching it. I think the way Paraguay played, I mean, I understand as a team like Paraguay what you have to do to get the win. But I didn't like it. I know like just that deep block. Hold on. The deep block was just so boring and unfortunate. They did the same thing against France, and that was a horrible game. And all the French players came out and said, "We have to dig in shit. We're gonna dig." Like they can play this dirty game too, where they, So I think I understand it. It's unfortunate, but if you advance, you get all the plaudits, and I think it's more to be said about Germany, how they, even though you're playing against a Paraguay team with a deep block and they're aggressive and they're all this stuff makes it very difficult to get some attacks going. That was just a pathetic performance, absolutely pathetic. Obviously, we know they got a goal that was controversially disallowed, and as the Arsenal guy here would say, probably is valid or invalid because
I wouldn't consider that.
every people pundits are coming out and saying this is how Arsenal won the league. So how is this disallowed? But that's just a little joke.
Nah, you're baiting.
I'm baiting it.
We're not talking about Arsenal.
No, yeah,
That's
but,
not
but
Arsenal.
still,
All right.
on the
Whoa.
That's
Yeah.
not how
guys, come on.
We can't. We
On the
stay
plane,
on track. Stay
this
on
is
track.
the standard of the World Cup. Is that they said it on the commentary that they told every ref that, like, if somebody inhibits the movement of the goalkeeper.
No, that's fair. I'm just messing around. But what do you think about the German team? Made them so underwhelming in this game.
I think it's kind of like an easy answer, but I think the squad is the big part of it. I think they've like failed to develop a lot of promising young talent as like the golden generation gets older. Wirtz and Musiala were like the two guys. I feel like Musiala hasn't looked the same since coming back from injury.
It's sad.
And Wirtz, he had they were actually strong in the Euros 2 years ago, and they only lost to
Yeah, I
Spain
thought
and won
so.
it. And
I
Wirtz
thought
had a
so.
good tournament, but he failed to like really like lead the team in any meaningful way, come up with big moments. Sané
Oh my God.
was really like the best winger in the world for like 2 seasons.
10
Yeah,
years
Like
ago.
10 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
10 years ago. And I can't believe he's still
Thank God City
starting. Like when they like needed a goal and they subbed in Goretzka, like it's not It's not looking good.
And Metro looked okay. He's the one guy who came out of that. Now,
Yeah.
I also do want to say on Germany, this is maybe like ancillary, but when it went to penalties, first off, penalties this World Cup, penalty shootouts, penalties in general have been shockingly subpar. Otherwise, like I think play has been phenomenal. This has been a really high goal scoring World Cup. A lot of play has been very dynamic, very forward. Penalties, I don't know why, have really been so substandard. And Germany like really demonstrated that in the shootouts against Paraguay. And after they, finally kind of eked out that last two saves that they needed to stay in for that next like essentially sudden death phase of penalties, who do they put up to take that last pen? Jonathan Tah, a defender. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his
this
name.
guy knows his.
Yeah, I was impressed
So
by that.
has
Jonathan Tah, who is a defender, because and as it comes out later, none of the other forwards, midfielders, whoever, people who actually have some goal scoring experience and some penalty taking experience
Any
had
senior
the
members
courage.
of-
Any senior members
Yeah, so
had the
Kimmich-
courage to take that.
Kimmich is
Kimmich
like,
back
who wants to?
down.
No. Kimmich's like, who wants to do it? Do you want to do it? And it's like, I watched a video of Ronaldo a couple years ago. He's putting his arm around some random Portuguese player. He's like, you're gonna take it. You take it good. You can do it. If you don't make it, it's no big deal. But you're gonna do it. Like, where is that? Where's that
Yeah.
personality from Germany?
Yeah.
It's completely gone.
And
So
it's
it's not
I
the
don't hold it
Germany
against
won the tournament in 2014.
I know, and I don't hold it against him whatsoever. I mean, I think that when you're representing your country and you're on the brink of elimination like that, to step up and take that penalty takes a lot of courage. And I'm more so very critical about the other players who frankly should have taken that penalty and didn't have the courage to do so.
I also have to say, Kai Havertz had a bad penalty, and that's like another example of like Germany used to have Mueller, now they have Kai Havertz.
Exactly. Although Havertz,
Not
Champions
bad, not
League
bad.
goal, World Cup, like 3 World Cup goals, goal to win the Premier League. The craziest anomaly I've ever seen, by the way. But let's move on. Other notable games in the round of 32.
I think
But-
we have to mention
Morocco, Netherlands.
Morocco.
Yeah,
Netherlands.
that's the one.
One of probably my favorite game of the knockout stages so far.
One
If I
of the
do
best.
say
One
so.
of them definitely. I think up to that point was probably
Yeah.
the best. It was played fairly early on. We saw a couple different sides to that game. Maybe Morocco having a lot of the ball, but maybe not being as incisive as they should be. Netherlands playing very reserved, banking it all on their 5 back. Classic Poopy Coleman tactics of just trying to really wait out uninteresting football, and it came back to bite them. I will say it was a nail biter. After Morocco, we went
Yeah.
1-0 down. I was kind of, shaking. Like, where would this next goal come from? But,
Oh,
Oh
Wait.
wow! Oh wow! Thank you.
Thank you.
care package just dropped.
care package.
Fortnite supply drop.
I was really disappointed in the coaching. I think
What
most
you say,
people.
Grandma?
I think
But I think seeing that last minute equalizer go in wasn't like just an unparalleled sort of feeling. Those penalty kicks, as John was saying, that was probably the first case of really horrific penalties we saw. The Netherlands
Hey, yo.
team.
Thanks, producer.
Thanks, producer Naya.
Hey,
Let's stick to the
producer
ones and the
Naya.
zeros. Okay. Yeah,
I think, seeing a lot of those horrific penalties coming from the Netherlands sides. Even Hakimi missing, which was a bit surprising, but Morocco pulled through to get the dub. I do think that was a really great game to watch. I think a very deserved victory. A lot of people went into that game really touting Morocco as the underdogs, and afterwards maybe some of the narratives
change
were,
the narrative. Absolutely.
the plucky underdog won. But I think, frankly, the wrong idea is to go into that game with. I was pretty confident that Morocco would come out with the dub.
I think I thought Morocco they had the capacity to do so. I just was I didn't underestimate Morocco, but I overestimated Netherlands. The way they went out was fraudulent.
I really think Ronald Koeman did a really bad job. 5 in the back for no reason. What was sad is that they had like Memphis Depay, who like is inconsistent, but he is like Netherlands' top scorer. He is like an out and out striker. He never came in. They have Malin, who again is not a top player, but has to like a solid winger. He never went in. Even like Tajani Reinders, like he's a midfielder who
He never shows
scores.
up.
You
No, he can't. He didn't show up the whole season.
De Jong, I have to say.
Well, no, I'm
really
just saying like he had
He
like
was solid
this like instead of
in
making
the game though. No, yeah, go ahead.
instead of when it was still tied, or even with like everyone knows a 1-0 lead is obviously very small. Like his substitutions were super defensively minded.
No,
People,
Coleman set them up completely wrong.
yeah,
When they were playing so they could do nothing. You have a pretty talented team, man. They could do nothing.
there's like a popular interview recently with Fabregas when he's talking about how like a lot of coaches make this mistake when they'll go up 1-0 and then they'll make defensive substitutions, but they're just inviting pressure, and it's like more often than not going to lead to equalizer.
100%.
And even then seeing them in extra time, they played for penalties,
horrible.
which
That
was
was-
shocking.
They had, I think, 70% possession during extra time. That is an unbelievable statistic.
Shocking.
And to
For the
essentially
the land of Johan Cruyff, you know.
and to essentially put it all like in on the penalties, and then perform really badly in penalties. Frankly, I mean, Morocco wasn't stellar at all.
One person I have to on the Netherlands team, and we should wrap this up quickly. But Somerville, absolutely love him. Great season for West Ham, great breakthrough season, and I think he was their shining light this for Netherlands.
Robbie also was decent.
Robbie was
great. Any other standout games from round of 32?
I think
Argentina.
Argentina,
Cape
Cape
Verde.
Verde.
yes, and this is the important thing. We can go into all these games separately, but instead, let's talk about how African teams were not only competing, but winning games deep into the game. I'm thinking about Belgium, Senegal. I'm thinking about Ivory Coast, Norway. I'm thinking about Congo, England. And
Yep.
putting up a show and even looking like the better team for most of the games and then falling short at the end. And what is this phenomenon? What is this that's happening? It's very strange.
I think the Senegal and the Ivory Coast games are probably two of the most glaring examples. I think in both of those matchups, I would say that the African nations were clearly the superior teams, the teams that I'd back to win. But it does seem that a lot of African football, a lot of maybe what you would call B tier teams, as we saw with, you could say Japan and Brazil, are kind of stuck in, and I don't want to sound harsh, but a bit of a loser mentality where they don't back themselves enough when they play. They're so insistent on, maybe they get a 1 or 2 goal lead. They make 0 positive changes. As Julian said, they make a lot of defensive substitutions. They continue to invite pressure on. And honestly, it seems like a lot of just mental failings. They don't believe in themselves enough. And, maybe you can call this shallow analysis, but as a viewer, I think that's all I can attribute it to. They don't believe in themselves. They don't back themselves enough to see these games through. I think the Ivory Coast were much better than Norway in their game. I don't think there's any way that they should have lost. I think Senegal, with 5 minutes left,
That's the craziest.
That was the saddest one.
see now.
Yeah.
Senegal,
I
like
disagree with you.
I think, and it was deserved, but I think Senegal are like a much better team than Belgium.
But I don't think it's sad at all, man. I think they totally did it to themselves, and it was somewhat deserved. You'll say that they shouldn't have done it, that shouldn't have happened, they should have held on. But when you play the way that they did, with their lack of conviction, with the coach's negative substitutions, I think you're just waiting for it
that's
not
what
to happen.
like you reap what you sow. 100%.
And I do think there's a lot of other things to this, obviously, but I think that's one of the things that Morocco has really done in a way that really sets itself apart. And I think this is true of last World Cup as well. They didn't necessarily operate with this mentality of, we're one of these smaller teams, we're not the favorites, we have to play really close, we have to try to get, a goal here, a goal there, and then just close up. Otherwise, they go out there to win. When they played Netherlands, they went out there aggressive, they went out there to win. And I think you saw that throughout the group stages as well. Obviously, unfortunately, I think today's game was a bit of a different story, but once again, we'll get into that. But I think also you have a lot of talent differences. The squad in Morocco is much stronger than a lot of other teams,
Yeah,
African and otherwise. But I think that there is something to be said about the fact that there is clearly a mentality that refuses to almost be the victim. Whereas with Congo, with Senegal, with Ivory Coast, I mean, Amad Diallo had maybe one of the most beautiful goals of the entire World Cup when they played. And I don't know, yeah, I agree with Jude. It feels like they fold. And they shouldn't need to be folding like that. They shouldn't need to be kind of giving up in that way or trying to play for that 1-2 goal. They could be playing for much
Yeah, massively disappointing. Any other round of 32 standouts for you guys?
I think
I think Cabo Verde didn't play like that, to be honest.
Agreed.
And that's why you saw them have so much success.
they almost
Right.
They were
nearly won.
incredible. They nearly beat
crazy.
the standing champions of the World Cup.
The second goal was like
Unbelievable.
tournament.
Unbelievable.
Yeah?
I also have to say, me and Richie got the chance to go and watch France, Sweden like live in person, and that was my first ever like real actual football match that I've seen. I've seen like our local team, DC United, but this was the first time it was a real competition.
What?
And I have to say, and this is a little bit of why I'm backing France, but it was just such an incredible experience to see like the way they played like, live in person. It just feeling that atmosphere. That was a genuinely life-changing experience.
I
I'll
remember-
never forget.
I remember that first goal so well, the one Mbappe scored,
Unreal.
because you think he's gonna like cross it, and then he turns and he faces him, and you're
That's
like,
vintage,
and-
vintage Mbappe. We will talk about the stars like after
Yeah.
after we finish some
Yeah.
of the games. Last game of round 32, Portugal, Croatia. We watched this like in DC. Tough watch.
I was at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Okay, not us though. Crazy game. Crazy game. Crazy ending. There's so many things we have to talk about. I think just to summarize, Croatia, old team, old stars, put up a fight.
They have this like quality of like being able to win games, even off bad
Absolutely. I
performances.
say that's like Croatian blood.
Yeah.
They went all the way to a final and then a semifinal and quarterfinal the next year, next World Cup. And then they fall in the hands of Portugal, we've been talking about disappointing teams. Is Portugal the most disappointing team given their squad?
I think so.
Yes.
One thing,
So
one-
go into the Portugal.
one thing big for me is everyone was saying going into the tournament that they had the best midfield, and I think like there's such a big difference between on paper they have the best midfield, sure, but in terms of how they actually play, like it doesn't translate. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like it's not like their midfield dominated the other teams and stuff.
nothing. They did nothing.
Yeah.
Even to the point where we saw them in the biggest games. Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes,
Right.
João Neves. Actually,
Right.
he was a little better. Getting subbed off.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
crunch time, tied against Croatia.
Yeah.
So, what happened to Portugal? Was it Ronaldo show? Can they finally get over this hump with their new generation without a Ronaldo?
Wallahi no. I think, I think maybe to deflect a little bit of blame off of, my guy here, that I will say that the way that Roberto Martinez did set them up this tournament did them no favors. Just a horrific coach. I don't know how he got this job with this squad of players.
I mean, he's the guy that squandered Belgium's golden generation as well.
Guy's been studying, by the way.
yeah, coach that was struggling in the championship. But as much as I would love to blame it all on him, I think you do have to look at the players. Bruno Fernandes, I mean, Premier League Player of the Season, my freaking guy, our guy. Maybe one of the most disappointing performances throughout this tournament. Really had no tangible impact on, dare I say, any of the games that
None.
Portugal played.
The conversations I was ready to put him in before this World Cup, expecting a stellar World Cup performance.
I was banking on a team of the tournament position locked.
really disappointing. And I think part of it is also, the Ronaldo dynamic. I don't think that's squarely all of it. I think that they were obviously set up very poorly by their coach. I think you also had a real lack of communication and cohesion in the midfield that prevented them from making some of these plays that, we've grown to know, like Bruno Fernandes and Vitinha for making. And also, I do think that, centering this entire thing around Ronaldo when he's frankly not the same player that he was 10 years ago is not the call that you make. And I think that really held them back. What's happening?
What are you doing?
I'm chewing snow.
Oh, you're just worried about the thing? Yeah, no, they're getting all that. Anyway, hold
Yeah,
on. I think also back up a little. You keep blasting that a little bit, guys. Anyway, not to say that the entire thing is on Ronaldo. I don't think it is, but I think that you had this really elite squad that was de facto centered around him, and obviously, like you can't see what. Yeah, honestly, not even de facto. Just like
Did you say weak squad?
no. Sorry, elite squad. Elite squad. Yeah, go ahead.
I think alongside.
No.
I'm sorry. Just to just one more thing. But alongside Bruno Vitinha, probably another one of those
Big disappointment.
Yeah, I think they do have a strong squad, but their front line, I think, lacking. Ronaldo, like
That was it. That's
he's such a limited player at this age. Like obviously he's still a great finisher, which is impressive, but like he's not involved in the team play. He cannot run in behind.
Hold on.
He cannot
ask you something?
hold up the ball. Yes.
Vitinha is used to playing with Dembele, Olise, and Barcola.
Yeah. Do it.
Fair enough. He has, if Rafael Leao is not starting, he has Zhao. What's that?
He plays a better player.
Yeah.
I think
Bruno. Wait, hold on. Bruno Fernandes arguably does not play with better players.
Yeah.
Give me Sesko over Cristiano Ronaldo, and give me Mbeumo over Pedro Neto.
Yeah, that's the point I was making. Look at the front line.
It's not like that's not. But we're not talking about GOAT versus like scrub. Those are like close margins, by the way.
But I think that
Sesko, yes, that's different because Ronaldo doesn't run.
Let me just finish my point.
Mbeumo and Pedro Neto, that's not like day and night.
Yo, come on.
Yo, it's not day and night.
It's not day and night. Guys, we're getting sidetracked again.
No, we're not getting sidetracked. This is exactly what we want to talk about.
The point is the front line is like Pedro Neto, who's like probably should leave the Premier League soon, to be honest. Pedro Neto, who should probably leave the Premier League soon. He doesn't look up for it. Joao Felix, who's in Saudi at like 25. Conceição, who's like maybe sometimes good. Or Leao, who had like he was actually good as a sub. He was the best attacker, but I think
he's also the best attacker.
So they just like quality up front, which again I also think makes the midfielders maybe look worse than they are.
But still, Bruno, who's a player, and you look, we expect. I expected. We remember our preview. We said Bruno's going to be amazing because he is not the type of player who needs a system to fully. His whole catalog of assists this year, other than corner kicks, is based on moments of brilliance. Moments of brilliance where he takes the ball and he finds space. That has nothing to do with tactics. And nothing to do with anything.
And as much as I wanted to,
so like, what happened? He couldn't do it against Congo. I get they like went far, but still.
No, I mean, as much as I hate to agree,
he's right.
I think I have to.
I mean, that's a fair point to me.
I think there's certain players that just do great at the club level that really struggle at the national level, and vice versa. And there's a lot of explanations that they can have for that, but I do think, unfortunately, Bruno Fernandes might be one of those players. I also think who knows what happens next few years. Who knows what will happen at the next Euros? We could see a big turnaround, but this was very, especially as a United fan and as a big Bruno fan, this was a very, very disappointing turn.
That helps us transition to round of 16.
No, before.
Do we want to do this? The ending, the call.
That's what I was about to bring up.
Do you think we're at 15 minutes? Should we do it?
Yeah, let's
do
it.
Good? Oh, if you guys are good, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm, before. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're right.
Before the round of 16.
Just so I know to cut out our frustration part.
Spirits.
Before where John went like this.
Yeah. So important to get that out.
Yo, are you done?
No.
Okay.
Somebody hold up, but somebody didn't have a second slice because
I only had one.
Go ahead.
I don't want.
So before we
pass me that water bottle.
But it's getting cold.
Before
God damn, just eat it if you're hungry, bro.
Before we move on to the round of 16, I think we do have to talk
now
about.
say it. Now say it.
I think before we move on to the round of 16, we do have to talk about the offsides call against Croatia. Very marginal call. We saw maybe in the replay it hit his hair, maybe just skimmed his head, came off the defender. Super emotional moment for all of Croatia. We saw the celebrations, we saw the
Unreal.
scenes.
Unreal.
Just for that moment to get called back by a sensor chip inside the ball where, they have to show a graph of the shockwave because you can't see the ball change in flight path or anything. What are your guys' thoughts on that? And maybe just the increase of technology in the
Technology.
game. Technology in the game and the way that the game is being called.
This was the first time I've seen something like this where you cannot see him touch the ball, right? I don't know what you guys saw, but from what I saw, you cannot see any contact. The ball doesn't move at all. You can only tell because of the sensor. Am I mad at it? Honestly, I'm kind of 50-50. I get it. Like, rules are rules, and I think it's just more disappointing, but like, how would you, like, if you were to say it should be allowed, like, because why? You know what I mean? Because he did touch the ball. So then it's like you have to draw a line, but then it's like, where's the line? So I think it's annoying, but ultimately, like, it makes sense.
First of all, I want to say I agree. And you have a set of rules and you have to abide by the rules. Regardless of how, if you have a problem with the rules, by all means, have a problem with the rules and want to dispute the rules. But if you start officiating games with calls that go against the rules, that is a very big issue.
Yeah.
And because of the rules, this was a goal. Or this was offsides, I mean. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This was offsides. According to the rules. Fair enough. I'm okay with that. Moreover, I'm okay with this technology because I think the more precise you get, the more accurate you can get towards what is a infraction of the rules versus what is not. I think that is making the game more fair, more honest, and I don't think it's necessarily bad for the game. I don't think VAR was ever bad for the game. All the stoppages, I don't care about stopping the game as long as the game is becoming more fair. I don't care about this hitting his head. If you want to change it to a rule where the ball has to show some obvious path of changing direction, that's fine with me, frankly. But that's going to be a little bit hard to quantify. So that's why I understand the rule of a touch is a touch, even if it hits the ball, because if you give that goal for Croatia, Portugal has every right to be like so upset. You have literal graph data
Yeah.
saying it was impact. So I know you have a different opinion if you want to state it.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, to be clear, I'm not necessarily anti VAR at all. I'm not against the kind of advancement of technology when it comes to adjudicating these kinds of calls. In fact, I agree in the sense that I think it becomes more and more helpful for how these calls are made. And I think with regards specifically to the Croatia header and the Croatia offsides, I agree. I think the call was correct. I don't feel too strongly about it, but obviously there was a touch, and the rules denote that if there was contact, regardless of what kind of contact it is, then it's offsides. And similar to Richie, like if the rules, if people want to change the rules in some way to kind of address like that kind of contact, what that really means, because that call would have been like more likely 50-50 in a pre-VAR world, depending on whether or not the ref saw it, how they
I
saw it,
think less than
what the
50.
cameras, maybe
Wouldn't
less.
have been called, by the way. Wouldn't have been called.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway,
Unless
no.
the ref sees. Like,
that's what I'm
it's
saying. Like
very close.
the ref could have seen something and said, okay.
I feel like it was like visually unidentifiable.
Yeah.
It
I,
was a good
honestly,
call.
I don't remember.
I think if you're looking through different camera
I
angles,
looked up.
anyway. But
Okay,
that's all to say. Like,
Shut
if you want to change the rules, like I think I'm all for that as well. Like, I don't feel too strongly about that specific instance. I have a bigger issue with some of the other VAR calls that have been made this tournament, specifically the call disallowing a goal against Iran when they played Egypt, and the call disallowing a goal against Colombia when they played Portugal. when the VAR, the offsides call was
I don't know. The offsides call was really made basically on a toe or like on 3 toes being over the line. And that for me just opens up this broader question about the. Let me finish before you start like, doing the shake your head. You literally saw nothing.
Can't wait to say something.
Mr. I know better gimmick.
I can't even wait.
All right, so. So I think some of these calls, these are. I think these are calls that were obviously far less likely to have been made in a pre-VAR era, and these are the rules that have been drafted for a time where the referee was making these calls based on what they saw, or at most based on what the cameras would see, the cameras film. And now that we have this like technology that is advancing and is clearly like changing the game and how it's analyzed, how it's played, how it's understood, I do think that it's worth reconsidering the way that we kind of think about rules such as offsides, because if we're at a place where even having a toenail past another player constitutes offsides, and we all agree like, okay, that's fine, certain things like you just have to take for the sake of precision in rules following, then so be it. But I think that there is a way to kind of think through the rules that takes into account the extreme precision that we now have with things like VAR, a level of precision that I don't think you can reliably expect players to be, determining when they're on the field when they're in these high stakes games. That's my 2 cents on it.
Oh, fuck.
Okay.
I think actually maybe we could save this for another educational football video, debate style. If we don't want to get too bogged down in this World Cup review, I think that might be a better idea. But I do think that's a good ending to the round of 32 discussion, the brand new round of 32.
Yeah.
The round of 16, we just finished that up.
Yeah,
2 days ago.
absolutely.
Any standout games for you guys from that next round?
I'll tell you what was a standout game. Portugal, Spain.
Oh,
Maybe
What a
biggest snapshot.
horrible game. By the way, we didn't talk about this. Thoughts on Spain this tournament?
I'm
severely underwhelmed.
The
Based on
amount
their
the
Euros.
amount we've talked about Spain is the amount
Nothing.
they've impressed.
It's unbelievable. And it's like recently, who was it? Julian, you made a point that was like, there are no good teams other than France. And I'm like, you have to think about it. We've seen England play horrible against Congo, against Ghana, against who was their third game?
They played pretty good against Croatia.
They did play good against Croatia. And then they played good against Mexico.
yeah.
But we've seen them like really not play
So, I
good.
mean, to be fair, first 30 minutes against Mexico was pretty bad.
Yeah. And then
but that's kind of how it is.
Then we
Mm-hmm.
look at other teams, Portugal, powerhouse. No. Who else is a powerhouse? Germany, powerhouse, out. Brazil, powerhouse.
I don't think Brazil were even anticipating
we'll-
powerhouse for this
We'll
tournament.
talk about that with this
But-
game and a certain game. But I mean,
I have
Spain are supposed to be that, and we have not felt that yet.
I have a lot to say about Spain because I thought before the tournament started, I thought they were going to win. That was my prediction.
Me too.
They were super impressive in 2024 Euros, not just because of the squad, but because like they played like a team.
Yeah.
And like if you remember watching that tournament, there was never a moment when they didn't seem like they were going to win. And coming into this tournament, they have like the same squad. They have pretty much all the same guys.
Same coach, same everything.
Same coach, same everything. If anything, they have like Roger, who's more fit now. But right, less fit.
Rodri was uninjured.
That was
Pre-injured, right before the injury.
How
Before the
old?
season started.
Okay, but they're not playing well. I think Nico Williams' injury is huge. Honestly, he was so good in the Euros. I
So
bought his
good.
jersey. I didn't know who he was before that tournament. I bought his jersey after, bro. Baena. I feel bad. Listen, he's not supposed to be in this position. You know what I mean? Like he's not
bad.
He's not supposed to be
He's
here.
not like a horrible player.
He's not supposed to be here. Oyarzabal, I know he's good, and I know he's like surprisingly good. I know he won Copa del Rey with Real Sociedad, and he has a good record for Spain. I have questions about him in like a big tournament and going into like the quarter final semifinals.
Miss.
I have questions, but overall, they're lacking the team chemistry that they had, and Pedri is
Pedri.
greatly underperforming.
They're missing somebody. And like Rodri wears the captain band.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be this leader. and he might be in the locker rooms and stuff, but on the field, he kind of what he does goes unnoticed, right? You're missing a maverick, and I think about the Euros, and it almost seemed like everybody was just going crazy and performing to the highest
Yeah.
level to the point where you didn't have the maverick. Lamine and Nico, the two Ferraris, that was kind of your maverick. You had Olmo in the middle, Pedri, Fabian Ruiz, even another big, like kind of a bigger guy who's more noticeable. Now it's just like I can't. Rodri's winning the man of the match performances, and he's winning. He's getting all his plaudits, and one of my favorite players on City because of what he's given us.
Mm.
But it's kind of just like you want somebody else. You don't notice him when he's on the ball. You don't
Yeah.
notice when Pedri's on the ball. You don't notice when any of these midfielders who, in the past have been the reason that Spain wins. You're noticing like less impact from them. And I don't know. It's a very strange. It's just like there's a gap in this team. It's like they're
Yeah.
playing with a man less than the opponent. Although they're winning, it seems off.
Well, that's the other thing is that, like, the performances haven't been inspiring, but they haven't conceded a goal. And
Which is
they've,
actually insane.
which is,
Yeah.
if you think about it, insane. And
It is insane.
like, they haven't played the top teams up until Portugal, but like, they made it to the quarterfinals without conceding a goal, which is crazy.
It's actually crazy. Like you told me that before the tournament. I'm like, oh, Spain are still the powerhouse. They're gonna kill France. And now you think about it, it's just like on the eyes.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
I don't know.
Oh.
And the fact that it took Marino coming on for them to score. I mean, Marino is
Hey, at this point,
At-
what more can we say?
as a
Marino's a good
as
player.
a midfielder, as a mid. Wow. Cut.
No. Leave that in there.
As a midfielder, Marino is like an average player. Like he's good, he's average. But as a goal scorer, he's top, which is the funniest thing. But the way he made the run and he finished, I genuinely think he's better. I think he's better than a lot of strikers. I honestly think he's better than a lot of strikers.
Do you think he's better?
I don't
Do you
think.
think he's better than Joshua Zirkzee?
Yeah, he's better than Xerxes. He's better.
Sesko?
He's not better than Sesko. He's better than Xerxes. He's better than Gyökeres. I genuinely think if we played Marino in the 9 for a whole season and then Gyökeres for
Oh,
the whole
how do we
season.
start talking about Arsenal?
Marino
How do we
does
start talking
better.
about Arsenal?
How do you pull that
I'm
off?
dead
How do you
serious.
pull that off? That's
I'm-
fair.
I'm dead
No,
serious. Go to Marino.
Where's my body? My body. It's like the thing that's like, how long have you been faithful?
Dude, do you remember Marino at the 9 for like a month?
Stop.
No, we're not talking about Arsenal. We're not talking
My
about
point is, my point is, back to your conversation about somebody who could like make a difference. Marino was genuinely a difference maker because he made a positive run and he had a good finish.
He is.
So, and he has a good record with Spain too. He doesn't start, but he does really good with Spain.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess that's a little bit on Spain. We already talked about Portugal.
Argentina, Egypt, that's like the biggest game probably.
Yeah.
We could also touch on France, Paraguay first.
No, that's we don't need to talk.
Yeah.
Fair enough, man. Also, Julian, just by the way, I'm not visible
Sorry.
for like half the
Sorry.
spot.
Argentina, Egypt is where we have a lot of issues. Do you guys want to do Norway, Brazil first or after?
After
First. Right.
and also England next.
Can we all go on a
And
race
England
for
next.
one?
Hold on.
Like we said.
Do you want?
No,
Right?
no.
All right, so do you want to
Yeah.
introduce Brazil, Norway?
Brazil are a team that have faded the past decade, even longer. Although their identity might have been held on a little longer back then. Now it is all but lost. You have some good players in Bruno Guimaraes, Gabriel Malagues. You have
Mateus Cunha.
he's
scored.
He's decent.
goals.
Vinny Jr.
Vinny Jr., one of the best players, attackers in the world. You have Marquinhos, 2 times Champions League winner, also.
Martinez is good.
And then you don't have much else. And on top of that,
You have Neymar.
you appointed Ancelotti, who, for my insight, has become a pretty low-end manager in 2026. The way he had them set up against even Japan, the way they had them absorbing all this pressure, playing, I understand like identity within national teams and Brazilians play the Brazilian way. holding that identity. I think that's very important, honestly. That is very important for the people. And a lot of people came out before the tournament and said Brazil are going to play Premier League style football with Gabriel and Casemiro,
Casemiro.
who had a horrible tournament,
Yeah.
heading the ball, set
Whoa.
pieces.
Who had a horrible tournament?
Casemiro.
Nah, he did.
Disagree, by the way.
He never,
Really?
I think horrible is a massive.
Maybe horrible is too much, but he had a.
Like,
He looked very. He was getting subbed off every second half. He looked so out of it. He couldn't keep up this tournament.
He's
I don't think he had a
34.
bad tournament, but I think it's just a
I
sign of
think he was pretty.
no,
good.
but I think it's just a
He's
sign.
like
I
90,
disagree.
he's what 64.
But it's a sign of a
So what? We should
Brazil-
credit him for being 65 good.
What? It's Ancelotti's choice to play him. It's not Casemiro's choice.
Well,
to
no,
play
I
him.
think
I wanted more from him.
I
didn't
think
see
from
enough.
being on the field,
I don't-
obviously
I
he
don't
wasn't
expect.
stellar.
Completely.
I don't expect more from Casemiro. I think it's just the fact that Brazil have no one else. Like he rightfully
But they
started.
replaced him with Fabinho.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm
and,
saying.
and is this the issue? Is it
Fabinho.
is it the fact that Brazil?
That was okay. When I saw him on the when I saw him on the bench,
I
that
never got
really sucked.
called up, dude.
That really sucked.
Fair enough. No, I hear that. And like you have to play him, and you'll live and die by him. But you definitely die by him.
He was at fault for the goal against Japan.
Yeah. And
And he scored against Japan.
I'm just saying.
He did.
I just think that Brazil are so far off of it. And all these, they don't have the personnel to carry out their, historic style of play, and they don't play it anymore. And it was just surprising seeing how they set up
Yeah.
against Norway, how they went down against Japan. But at the end of the day, it's still Brazil, and you have to give them. They're what 5 times winner, the most in history. You have to give them respect. But somebody didn't give them respect. Comes from Norway.
Who is it?
Erling Braut Haaland.
What did you think of that one?
What is he the greatest goal scorer you guys have ever seen?
I will say, as a 22-year-old man, maybe haven't been alive to witness the marvel of Ronaldo Nazario, or maybe even Ibrahimovic in his peak. But, I like to consider myself a student of the game. I like to do my research and look back. And I've watched a fair amount of soccer these last 10, 12 years. And I just have to say that Erling Haaland has to be the greatest striker I've ever seen. Probably, for my money, the greatest striker in football in history. As the man up top,
I'm not with that.
as the man up top that
Not-
puts
not
the
with-
ball in the net. Who has ever been better than him?
I agree. I think he's the greatest finisher that we've ever seen.
You heard me.
First,
Yeah, there's definitely a distinction to be made there. Some like Ronaldo was able to like get the ball deeper, dribble, play, make a little bit. Mbappe does that too, which some people credit as overall quality. But striker's main job is to score goals. I think we could definitely call him one of the best goal scorers of all time.
Yeah.
And
no question.
it's just insane. For Manchester City, he gets so much criticism about not touching the ball and not being involved. Then he'll like score a goal. And I always like reject that. I'm always like, no, he does. But that's just me kind of like fighting this narrative that's kind of like saying he's not a great all-around footballer. Whatever. You know what? Maybe he is only good at one thing. But is he the best of all time? One of the best of all time at this one thing? He might be. And that is scoring goals. It's when you have him on your team, this World Cup, when you've had him on your team, plus 1 or 2 goals, automatically plus 1 or 2 goals. Do you guys see he barely touched the ball this against Brazil? He's walking. He doesn't care. He's uninterested. And then all of a sudden, he jumps over one of the greatest center backs at aerial duels. The one who's won the Premier League for Arsenal by scoring them all these goals. He jumps over him like Michael Jordan and heads the ball into the back of the net behind Alisson. Unbelievable. And then the next goal, receives it. Just like has some open space, which Haaland never has. Takes a touch. Guys, are you serious? That's a rocket. It's a bazooka. The way the ball, he hits it on the ground. It's so powerful. It skips twice only and just curves. It's unbelievable. No celebration, man. He's so cool. His personality is so it's so it's almost like humbling, like how carefree he is and how it's like whole philosophy. And he's become very famous in American culture now. My college, University of Miami, is posting him everywhere. It's reels about Erling Haaland. My friends are like, who is this guy? So he's one of the greatest players of the generation already. He has a treble. He has another Premier League, and he's taken his team to the quarterfinals of a World Cup. Norway, who haven't been in the World Cup for who knows how many decades. So
25 years.
wow,
That's your homework.
so it's just insane.
No, I mean, I totally agree. And I think going back to the conversation we were having before you went on that glazing monologue,
Too much, right?
a little
No,
much.
I disagree.
I mean, I liked
I
it.
mean,
I liked
almost-
it. Keep it
Sorry,
up.
It's almost not even enough.
I better hear one
Oh,
from
yeah.
Mbappe, not you. I want you to
Don't do it.
I'll do it.
I'll-
I'll do
I'll
it.
do it.
I'll do it.
John.
Anyway,
John.
I think going back to the conversation about like greatest striker, finisher, footballer, whatever it is, I think that you do have, certain people in this sport, in this sport's history, R9, CR7, Messi. Nowadays people look at people like Mbappe and Lamine Yamal, fumble. And these are people that have total mastery over the ball wherever they are on the pitch. They can take it up and down. They can play make. They can do all this stuff. And I think that Erling Haaland knows that maybe that's not where his strong suit is. And rather than trying to do something that he's not going to be the best at, he's focused on this one thing that he is, I think, indisputably unstoppable at. And he has made it a weapon for his country, for his club, wherever he plays, and it's clearly like paying out in dividends. And I think you have to give him credit for being very tactful about what role he does play on the teams that he plays on. Whether or not people want to criticize that or whatever their preference is for a player like that, I think that he is certainly the best at what he does, and he does not have any interest in doing what he's not the best at.
I want to talk about Martin Odegaard.
Do you?
Why?
You sure?
I know. I didn't watch this game, to be honest.
He looks better.
But he looks good. He looks
No,
good.
the
He plays
100%
well.
He does.
100%
He looks
disagree.
better.
By the way,
But I think
He's taking on more of a captain role that you didn't see at Arsenal. Dude, Erling Haaland is looking at this guy like he knows Odegaard's the captain.
I don't know.
Other than this last game, he's letting Odegaard hit the drum. He knows it.
he kind of reminds me of Vitinha. He's like Mr. Sideways Pass, Mr. Pass Completion.
But dude,
I don't see him-
sometimes
I don't
it's
see him
fun.
taking a lot of ownership.
No, he's not. He's not a bad.
I just like. What do you guys? I genuinely didn't watch this game. So like, other than Holland, what do you think like Norway offer as a team?
He's,
So it's not bad.
Mm.
Dude, Sanderberg in the mid.
yeah, quality
great quality.
midfielder.
Defensively, they've been pretty strong. They're physically very strong.
Ryerson,
Yeah.
that right fullback.
No, they
really
have some,
good.
yeah, they have some
decent
good quality,
pieces.
honestly. But it's led by Haaland, especially. Oh, also don't forget Sorloth.
You can forget Sorla.
Oscar Bob coming out too, not bad.
Quality player to
Quality,
bring off
can't
the
believe the
bench.
City got rid of him. But yeah,
Just to
I think
keep
hold
it
on.
moving.
Yeah.
Just to keep it moving. Do you want to say a few words about Neymar, or do we want to just breeze
no.
past that?
There's not really much to say.
Honestly, I don't want
I'm
to.
happy you got the goal, but
He really. I don't think
sad last time.
Ancelotti wanted him there.
He shouldn't have called him up though.
I think he just went because of like brand deals and stuff.
I think I think you needed like someone like that as a leader.
It was
but
Aura.
frankly, like
was-
he didn't
it
do
was Aura.
anything.
Okay,
So-
let's quickly do. Do we have to do Argentina, Egypt?
Yes.
That's like the most important
That was
one,
the
by the
most
way.
interesting.
Also, England, Mexico.
No, that's those two, and then we have to do.
All right, let's be fast with this. Let's do highlights of England, Mexico.
Jude, go ahead.
I think, first 30 minutes of that game, I was pretty disappointed in England. I think the Azteca was very up for it. Mexico, as they had a right to be, as they should have been, were very up for that game. They were pressing wave after wave after wave of attack. A couple brilliant saves from Jordan Pickford in the opening 20, 30 minutes that were needed to keep England level in this game. But, quality will always find a way to shine through. And what bigger superstar is there on this planet, or maybe, Mbappe, than Jude Bellingham? I was getting ready to send a text to my professional acquaintances over here, kind of miserating a little bit about the style of England play. But I see Declan Rice get the ball, he's doing a little dribble. I said, okay, put the phone down. Passes up to Saka. Saka bursting through the wing, cross on his
Always good
right
at those
foot.
crosses.
Haven't seen that in years from Saka.
Yeah.
A couple
Right-footed
months.
cross.
Couple
Right-footed cross. I haven't
Couple
seen
months.
that in years, to be fair.
couple months.
I haven't seen that in years.
Couple months.
And, Sales over Kane's head, getting ready to just rail this guy out. But I see Jude Bellingham in his infinite wisdom, his fox in the box movement, a perfectly timed late arriving run. Bam, England up 1-0. I get up, I scream. Jude made me scream. I can't even lie. I'm celebrating, I'm sitting down. Kickoff starts. I'm resituating myself. 10 seconds later, England surging forward again. Jude Bellingham leading the attack. Beautiful pass to Harry Kane out wide. I was ready for Harry Kane to bag his goal. Brilliant thinking. Taking one more touch out. Unselfish pass. And who other than Jude Bellingham to put England ahead 2-0 in 2 minutes. That is the type of man,
Honestly.
it's these types of moments and these types of games throughout this whole tournament that just make me look back on these conversations about, should Tuchel maybe leave Jude at home? Should Morgan Rogers be starting? Is Jude a bad influence on this England team? Is he too entitled? Is he a bad apple? Should Cole Palmer be starting? Should there be a dual 10 system? All of these conversations, I just have to look back and laugh. Because if you don't, you'll cry at the stupidity of some people. So some people are really considering not starting this guy. And where would England be without Jude Bellingham right now? I could not even tell you.
Imagine if it was Cole Palmer in the Azteca.
He might have balled out. Is that crazy to say? He might have done something. He might have done something.
Loki, honestly, imagine they would have won like 4-0.
No, he might have done something.
We did do it.
No, we're not doing that.
I've been on this podcast on the record talking down on Jude Bellingham. It actually took a lot of insight to be able to understand him as a player. And he is one of a kind. He is a special, special player. He's a winner. He's a maverick. He's just that guy. He's just that guy. And that performance embodies everything Jude Bellingham is. Willing to give his life to win, to throw his body on the line in the header, diving header to score a goal, to throw his body on the line to diving clearance at the last second. He's the man. So
You look at that clearance at the end of the half to keep England ahead right before halftime.
Yeah.
Mexico player threw on goal. I thought he skied it. Little do I know, upon replay, Jude Bellingham coming once again to the rescue of a nation that hates him. He's better than anything they deserve. What a guy.
No, he's really phenomenal. And yeah, the fact that there was actual serious discussion about leaving him at home is like genuinely inconceivable at this point, and really makes you reflect on. I mean, we've talked about this before, but no country, and specifically no country's media, hates their national team like England. And it is really ridiculous to think about the talent in that squad, the potential, and how much they're dragged down by the fact that there are tabloid after tabloid constantly just trashing them, talking so poorly about them. It's really disappointing. And honestly, like, just seeing how much they push and how much they fight, I was so inspired. At the end of when they blew the whistle at the end of the 90 minutes plus extra time, the way that they collapsed, that the England players collapsed, specifically Jude Bellingham, he gave everything out there. He left everything on the pitch, and it wasn't just him. Even like Jordan Pickford, that last
Jordan Henderson.
that last like 30 minutes, he was an unbelievable goalie. He was like sprinting to go punch things out of the box. It was incredible. I think you really have to give a lot of credit to England. I think you also have to give credit to Mexico. They were a really great side.
Yeah.
They pushed very hard. I think by the end of the match, they were maybe a little bit out of ideas in terms of how to get through England. But that's, I think, more of a testament to the greatness and the potential of this England side. And if they play that way against Norway on Saturday, I think that Mr. Haaland is going to have a very difficult time.
I want to speak about like England's play style so far because as a team, like as team performances, they've been very unconvincing, but they have like a strong squad where like even if they don't play well, they won't concede.
Mhm.
And then they have Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane who like win games for them.
Absolutely.
And it's like a weird thing because like they haven't played great football
Yeah.
up to this point. And
100%.
I think they can get to the final like that. They got to the final years like that. I don't know if they could win the tournament like that though. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
I honestly think they can get super far playing like average
Similar
football
to the
with star
Euros. They're
players.
similar to the
Yeah.
Euros.
But I don't see them winning like this. I think they could beat Norway playing like this, but I don't think they could win.
I hear that. The only thing that makes me think, just a little argument of that, I completely agree with you. But Tuchel designed this team.
Mhm.
He left out players like Cole Palmer and Morgan Gibbs, or
Gibbs White.
Gibbs White,
What's his first name?
White.
Yeah.
because he didn't want to play with some crazy techie number 10 everything's gonna go through that.
Yeah.
His whole idea is get the ball out wide, give it to Harry Kane.
Yeah.
And then you also have Jude Bellingham, who's able
Yeah.
to score from that as well. And so far, if you look at all their goals, what is it? Either a penalty, a corner kick, or a cross. That's it.
Yeah.
That's absolutely all their goals. So it's working. They're scoring goals because of it. It might, we'll see how far it goes. But what gives me a little bit of hope is because this is what the intention was. You're never going to score. You're never going to have the most beautiful style of play by trying to score from set pieces and these crosses, That's your whole game plan. So it's what kind of Tuchel's trying to do. So it makes me think things are going to plan. We'll see how much it has after.
Yeah. And I do, just to wrap up
Yeah.
this game, I do think that after the red card, the last, 20, 30 minutes, it was a type of performance and victory that really does galvanize a team to help them push through towards, hypothetically the finals, semifinals,
Absolutely.
maybe even winning it. Just that type of togetherness and unwillingness to die that they showed was, as John said, something very inspiring, something that maybe English teams of old were maybe missing, just that grit to pull through. And shout out England.
Shout out. Moving on, and I think we can be pretty quick with this. Let's just touch on Argentina, Egypt. I already give a summary of this game quickly. I think Egypt were really dominating for the first 75 minutes of this game. They had a lot of control over the ball, even when Argentina were pressing and were, having these really good opportunities. Be it either the defenders or Egypt's goalie. I'm forgetting his name. He's the Al Ahly goalie, I believe. He just did a phenomenal job at keeping nothing from getting in the goal. Even Messi had a penalty and he blocked it, which is no small feat. And I think obviously there's been a lot of discussion about like the refereeing of the game and how that worked out and this and that and the other. And I do think that there are a lot of questions, and I definitely think that the refereeing was certainly one-sided. But you do also at the same time have to say that Egypt were up 2-0 in the 79th minute, I believe it was, and ended up losing 3-2 by the end of extra time. And I think that whether or not the refereeing is one-sided, whether or not the deck is stacked against you, it is something to say about a team that does collapse in those last 10 minutes and keeping up with the trend we were discussing with Senegal and Congo. And I forget the other team we discussed. Ivory Coast, another African team that collapses in those last 10 minutes against a, conceived of much bigger, stronger, more daunting team. I mean, the current reigning champions of the World Cup. And, it really was on the Argentinian side, Messi that did the entire thing for them. And again, that's not to say I do think that I wish some of the refereeing calls had been different, had been better, had been more even between Egypt and Argentina. That wasn't the case, and it's really disappointing. And at the same time, I wish that Egypt had held on.
I disagree. I think the refereeing was fine. I do agree that Messi was just all this nonsense about Argentina being favored and them giving them an easy path and all these things are overshadowing Messi's performance and how at 39 he's not only the top scorer in the World Cup with the only player with a hat trick, he's also giving them comeback
Dembele
wins.
has a hat trick.
Oh yeah, they're also giving them comeback wins. This guy, by the way, he knows everything now.
Yeah.
Comeback wins, just unbelievable 2015 Messi performances. So I don't think that should be overshadowed. To go on the calls really quickly, the disallowed goal from from Egypt. It's a foul. It's a foul 100 times out of
Absolutely
100.
disagree.
Yeah,
Absolutely
He
disagree.
steps on it.
He
Especially
steps on it.
no,
It's
especially
ridiculous,
with
bro.
the standard of refereeing that has been set this
He
tournament,
steps
where we have seen so many rougher plays be allowed to play.
No, but
Stuff like that.
Argentina got a very similar
stepping on
very
somebody,
similar opportunity that led immediately to a goal against Austria.
stepping on
Also,
somebody. He also
I
didn't.
will
It's
say-
not like he clipped him. He
I
fully
will-
stepped on his
I
foot.
will no. I will
Fully
say,
steps on his foot.
you know, I agree with John's point that Egypt did collapse inwardly, but I do also see that, you know, through my observations, I do believe that, you know, Argentina are a team that get refereed very differently than many other teams. And maybe that is because, you know, they just play so rough from the get-go, where the ref has to accept that as the new normal. So maybe there is, you know, a whole new threshold they have to break through in order to get penalized. But that's not how refereeing should work. I mean, you see some of the tackles they were putting in on this game without even receiving a card throughout the whole tournament. You know, Christian Romero has 0 yellow cards through what, 7
Fuck
games?
Christian Romero, bro.
When has that
I hate
ever
him so
happened?
much.
If you can find me any 7-game stretch
Okay,
in
hold
Christian
on.
Romero's career where he hasn't received a yellow card, I'll give you $100.
But then, like, I think about Paraguay against France. They played dirty.
No, that was something else.
I got,
that was
no
something
yellow
else.
cards.
Yeah, but that was also
was on the
considered like a
referee.
scandal as well.
Is it considered a scandal?
That
It's what
game-
Jude men-
Not
that's
a
what
not
Jude
a
mentioned.
scandal, but just
That
for
game was-
appreciating.
What?
That game-
Does the ref have like? Are you suggesting that?
I'm
there's
not-
some-
I'm-
some under like seriously, chill.
I'm not saying that.
You're saying
Oh,
it's
the
a
ref.
scandal.
Yeah, I do think that the refereeing of that game
So
was
what? Is he
scandalous.
paid or
Between-
what is it?
Do you know what
I don't
scandal
even-
means?
I don't even think it has to be paid. It just
Then
has to
what's
be-
his agenda? And who can
It doesn't need to
Dude,
be an
first off,
agenda, dog.
What
there
about
has
his-
been historically documented big team bias in games like this. Let's start there, where the refereeing always leans towards the big team. Second off, statistically,
So Paraguay is the small team.
Argentina have had the
Bruh, what
fewest-
about Ghana not getting a penalty called against England?
Hey, I'm
Didn't even
fine
check
with that.
VAR.
I'm fine with that.
Argentina-
No, you're not. No, you're not.
No, I'm saying like that's very bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just like the referee in this game
Argentina
was very
has
bad.
disagree.
Dude, that's a foul. It's a foul.
Argentina's
It's a
ratio of
foul.
foul.
What about everything else?
I don't.
Every other
Okay,
channel was doing this game.
just because this doesn't get called doesn't mean this.
Look.
Like what? Okay, that's the
Second,
whole argument about the Premier League.
Argentina, on record, has the biggest ratio of foul or the lowest
Okay.
ratio of fouls, so yellow cards.
I get
of
what
any
you're
team.
saying.
I think that
Is that a real statistic?
Yeah,
Yeah, there is.
I'm not disagreeing.
I think they play a very aggressive game, and I do think that the refereeing of that game, and I think a lot of Argentina games, they get a lot of leeway given their way. We can go back all the way to the first game where Messi scored that hat trick against Algeria. He committed a foul
Yes,
that
yes.
was undeniably should have
I
been a
agree.
red card.
I agree.
Not even a call against him for it.
I agree.
And so I think there's a lot of stuff, and I'm not trying to imply there's some ulterior motive, there's something darker going on. Like I don't think that the whole like easy path thing. I think I don't like put stock in.
Yeah, the easy path is due to other teams
but-
not getting there.
But I'm saying that I think that you can recognize the skill of Messi and what this Argentina side has. You can recognize that Egypt disappointed in those last 10 minutes. And you can recognize that, frankly, a lot of those refereeing calls, I think, should have been made different.
we have to disagree.
And at the same, okay, we can disagree. And I just want to touch on the VAR conversation for a last time. I think that this also brings up a question of, you know, you guys have talked about off this podcast how VAR invites more objectivity into the game when calls are made. But at the end of the day, if it's humans deciding when VAR is used, then it can also become a vehicle for much more lopsidedness and subjectivity. The fact that VAR was used on that call where the player stepped on Martinez's foot, which even during the game, the commentators were talking about how there's no way they're going to VAR on this. There's no way it's a call. There's no way they're
Okay,
going all that way
screw
back. And at the end of the game, when Argentina scored their third goal, when one of the players trips Mo Salah, people have called that foul, not a penalty, whatever. That's fine. But the Egyptian side was begging the referee to review it on VAR. The ref refused, all out refused.
That's not his
Can I tell you
decision.
something?
That's not the ref
There's
decision.
people in his ear telling him every single thing to do. What they think it's
Can I say something? I'm about to be in your ear telling you us.
when it's a call that's warranted to go to VAR, go to VAR. That was the softest
That's
thing
not
I've ever seen in my life.
All right.
I want to speak on what this means for Argentina, because they struggled against Cabo Verde and Egypt, which are like two teams who fought
We'll
hard,
see.
but they're
Honestly,
far
we'll
from
see.
top
They're
teams.
playing Switzerland, so
Well, I'm saying, why are you rushing?
because dude, I'm sick of talking about Argentina.
You're gonna get it back for the finals, by the way.
4 more sentences.
No, we still need to talk about this. We're not.
We don't. I think we're.
4 more
We
sentences.
have nothing more to say. Let Julian finish. You keep cutting people.
They're a worse team than they are 4 years ago. Defensively, they're weak. Emotionally, I hope they don't win it. I don't think they're gonna win it. I feel like they look weak. It's unfortunate the next game was against Switzerland, who's also like far from a top team. But I think they definitely, like, if I was an Argentina fan, I'd be seriously worried.
Agreed.
Hey, Switzerland surprised. They surprised against Colombia. Everyone thought that game was a lock. So who knows? Why not though?
Let's end this video here and then do a final quarterfinals review.
Absolutely.
After. All right, guys. Well,
Okay.
you know, this was our first World Cup review video. All the way
Wait,
up
you
to
guys
the-
don't want to do predictions?
No.
Do we want to just say favorite player of the tournament so far? Just say the name and keep going.
Erling Haaland.
Wow. Kylian Mbappe.
totally say. But also, Ismail Assar. Ismail Assar is my favorite player. That's
Yeah.
not Moroccan or Arsenal player.
Fair. Can I ask you guys a quick question? We didn't really discuss it, but France are the best team easily. Every position, 5 out of 10 player, best top 5 player in the world. I have a question for you guys. Who is more important to this France team, Olise or Mbappe?
Mbappe.
Mbappe. But also, like, effective with
I mean, I do get the point that you're trying to make, like in that he is the main facilitator and creator and the lead assister in this whole World Cup. But you just look at the rate that Mbappe is scoring, where he's just blowing through teams. He's providing some nice assists. You look at them versus Norway, he was really facilitating big for Dembele. I mean, he's back to the Mbappe that we all knew and loved. Like, I don't think it's much of an argument.
Yeah.
I also
I
think,
think that
lastly, off the pitch, I think Mbappe has served a really crucial role as a leader of the French team in a way that has brought them together and made them obviously individually, each of these players are unbelievable. Dembele, Olise, Barcola, Mbappe, whoever. But I think that, and if you look at like interviews, even with like Didier Deschamps or other like French players, they all talk about Mbappe's leadership and how significant it's been in making their team something so elite. And I think like, yeah, I agree. Olise is such a crucial part of the team and extremely important. And on the pitch could be maybe like just a hair under the importance of Mbappe. But off the pitch, Mbappe makes the team what it is in a lot of ways.
great. Well, I think that's all from us today. This might be our longest video, 1 hour 35 minutes.
I'm praying we recorded it.
So that's it from us. We'll see you guys next time. This is
Quarterfinal review.
quarterfinal. Yeah, this has been
Educational football.